Hi, Vikram. It's so nice to meet you. Um,
Yeah, you too,
um,
Connie. Thank you.
so my name is Connie Inakai, and I'm a new entrepreneur, relatively. And I've never had a business coach. And I thought it was about time that I hired one. So I did a lot of research about business coaches because actually I'm writing an article for Entrepreneur Magazine, and I'm hoping I can include these interviews. So anyway, I didn't know anything about business coaches, so I contacted 15 business coaches, and I'm interviewing them for for three main reasons. The first one is I want to find out about what a business coach does, how can they help me, and do I really need one? Okay, the last question is yes. And I also thought this might be nice to publish to other people like me who don't have a business coach who might be looking to hire one so they can learn about you. So the
Totally.
third
Thank you.
reason is for you to tell me about what you do.
Awesome.
Okay, so that is the purpose of this interview. Okay, so my first question to you, Vikram, is so you are a business coach. What do you do as a business coach?
Basically, I sleep all day, Connie. I wake up at noon, and I think that's what a lot of people think business coaches do. Um, so I'll give you a little bit of background so that you can see where I came from and why I'm here today. I've been a serial entrepreneur, whatever that word even means, and I say I've been unemployable since I quit my parents' pizza place at 17 years old and started selling Cutco knives for myself. And what I realized is that if it wasn't for my manager at 17, who was basically a coach, because we were 1099 independent contractors, we actually had our very own business. We were responsible for our taxes and everything. And I was 17 years old. If it wasn't for him, I would have quit. I would have stopped because a lot of things had happened, right? A lot of challenges come up. And so he was able to coach me through that while coaching his team. Fast forward, I've had 6 or 7 businesses since then. Some have been really successful. Some have been a little bit harder. But I realized as I got older, when I got into real estate, that all of the businesses that I did well at, there was somebody there that was a mentor or a coach to me. And the ones that I was all alone on, they didn't lose money, but let's just say if I worked at McDonald's, I would have made the same amount of money with a lot less stress, and I would have got a free meal while I was there. So as I got older, I was like, what really drives me, right? Like, what are the things that drive me? And I love developing people, right? I can make more money just selling things individually sometimes, but I love to develop people. And I love to take this problem solving brain of mine because I always see something and I'm like, oh, how do we make it better? How do we take it apart? Right. Even my coach one day when we were working on some things, he's like, Vic, do you tinker with everything? Because I was tinkering with something while I was waiting for him to come into the office. He's like, do you tinker with everything? I'm like, I do. He's like, do you take things apart? I'm like, I do. He's like, do you put them back together? I'm like, I do. He's like, do you think you can put them back together better than how the engineer built them? I'm like, no, but I just try to put them together and figure out why they put the things where they put them. He's like, never take your watch apart. I said, yes, sir. And I realized that as a coach, as I was being coached at a younger age, and I still have a coach to this day, but as I was being coached, I was able to off leash a lot of the challenges that I had and get a third person's perspective that wasn't emotionally attached to the outcome. Obviously, they want me to do well because, we have a relationship, but they weren't attached to the outcome like I was attached to the outcome, or my team or my assistant or my manager, because they all were making money off of the business. And what I see is like growth, right? It's called the condensing time, right? My air conditioning's been having some condenser problems, so I'm thinking condensation. It's how do you compress time, right? How do you take the experience of somebody else and compress that into a shorter period of time so that they don't have to go through the same things that you went through? Or how do you teach them how to implement a system? How do you teach them how to hire their first? A lot of people that I work with have hired people, but they've never hired properly because they don't have a system in place. And I don't know if you know the cost of a bad hire, but it's about 15x their salary. So if you have a $100,000 employee, it's a $1.5 million cost to the business for the wrong hire. And the reason why is because people are quick to hire, slow to fire. When it should be slow to hire, quick to fire. But it's hard to fire somebody because it's a personal thing. It's like, well, I feel like I should have, and I could have. Look, there's some things you can change and there's some things you can't. And so as a coach, what I like to do is I like to take my experience and help other people develop themselves. And when you've owned different businesses, from selling knives to cell phone stores, to selling cars, to real estate, to flipping, and a wellness center, and all the other stuff in between, you get kind of a different lens on the world. And so I can see into a lot of businesses and see the challenges that entrepreneurs have. And a lot of it comes from mindset. A lot of entrepreneurs know what they need to do, but their mindset is stuck and they can't do it. And so a lot of times as an entrepreneur, you're running here, but you could be right here. And the gap is the mindset, or the gap is questioning the stuff you know how to do, because this works here. But if you implement this new system that could take you from here to here, there's a fear that that system is going to fail and it's going to take you back down to here.
I'm not quite sure I understand what you mean about mindset. So, for example, my mindset is I feel very confident in what I'm doing, but I've never really scaled my business. Is that a problem with my mindset?
Yeah, well, it's not a problem with your mindset. It's your mindset is, so right now you're a solopreneur.
Yes.
Right. So as a solopreneur, Connie does everything.
Yes. Connie
does the bills. Connie does the phones. Connie does the emails. Connie takes the trash out. Connie. So
exactly.
So the grandmapreneur might be really good at one thing, but she's doing 17 other tasks. And actually, my coach sent an email out to us, to our group this morning. We have a Facebook group, and he said, as entrepreneurs, we want to do everything. We want to control everything. If there's a task that is a $20 task or below, you shouldn't do it anymore. He said, at the level that you guys are at, anything that's worth $20 or less, you should not do it unless it just brings incredible amount of joy to your life and it doesn't cost you many hours. When you're a solopreneur, some of the fear is, I don't know how to hire somebody. What if I hire the wrong person? What if that person doesn't work out? How do I train that person? How do I pay that person? What if I can't afford that person? What if they steal all my stuff from me and they're not working out? How do I lead that person? How do I fire that person? What do I say to them? What tasks do I give them? Sometimes you don't even know where to start giving them tasks.
Exactly.
And so you end up doing all the tasks that they would be really great at. Or sometimes you think, oh, that's such a mundane task, right? Like that's such a basic thing. It's not that big of a deal. But most people that I know that are, Connie, I remember hearing what you did a little bit, but you're creating books for elderly to pass on to their next generation, correct?
Yes. And future generations, right.
So what would be a task that needs to get done, but you don't need to do it as you think about this?
Well, I wrote a course for this, a video course.
Okay.
To teach people how to do it. And cool. My task is I don't know how to promote it.
Okay. So you would need to outsource to a marketing company.
Exactly.
and a branding agency.
Uh-huh.
So what I do is I have my assistant look up 10 to 15 companies. I say, hey, go online, go to Google, look up companies, check the reviews, get the pricing, right? If they don't have pricing, reach out to them, tell them what we're looking for, and I'll write up what we need. And then I'll have her go out and do the research. And then she'll come back with a Google spreadsheet and she'll say, here you go, here's your spreadsheet. We use a system called Slack, Slack, which is our communication system. So we have different channels that we can make, right? Because anything that you do that's not organized and automated and delegated, it's just stuck in your email inbox somewhere. And if you can't get there easily, right, you can't have communication. You know, you get 1,000 emails a day. So she goes out there. So right now what we're working on is, I'll give you a real life example. We're working on promoting my podcast more. And so I had her go out and look up 10 different podcast companies. And so she went out and she found me some that were in the high end, some were in the mid range, and some that were very basic. And then she scheduled interviews with 3, 4 of them. So I already have interviews lined up with people. I know how much I have a ballpark of what they cost. I've been able to see her reviews that other people had written. I saw her review of why she thinks we should go with 1, 2, or 3. And then I know I have an interview with them lined up to see which one's going to be the best fit for me as my personality. Because if I clash with you, we're not going to work well.
Exactly.
Because I have a very strong personality. So I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. So I need somebody who I can just unload everything to, and they do it. I need somebody who can look at my audio gear and say, hey, Vikram, you got a great start, but you're missing this, or you could set it up like this so that we get better sound. Here's how we play around with things so that it sounds amazing, right? Because I just spent a lot of money on this microphone and I got some headphones coming and a bunch of audio gear coming in. I don't know how to set that up. And Kanye, I don't want to spend 3 hours learning. So I need somebody who's willing to spend and invest the time with me to do that. And also, I'm not monetizing my podcast, so I don't want to spend a lot of money on it, right? So I don't mind the equipment because I do a lot of interviews, but I don't want to spend $1,000 an episode to have it recorded and da-da-da-da-da, because that's $50,000 a year for 50 episodes. That adds up to a lot of money. And until it's monetizing, I don't want to do that. And same thing for you. You might need to, kind of figure out what your person could do for you. So that was kind of a long answer to your question, but you learn what you as you start to write things down. So one of the things I work with my clients on. So for you, what I would do if you had an assistant, I'd say, okay, Connie, write down all the things that you do on a daily basis, right? And I would probably do this on the call with you, because if I ask you to do things on your own, you're going to get busy and you're not going to do them. Write down all the things you do. The things that you love, put a star by. The things that you hate, put a check mark, right? Put a little dash. And the things that you're kind of neutral on, put a check. And as we go through it, we start to develop a list of things that need to get done in your business on a daily basis. We start to develop a list of things that make Connie excited, right? Talking to Connie makes me excited. Recording this episode and then having to transfer it to Google Drive and then having to edit out the first part and the second part and the third part and then having to add an intro and an extra and then having to do all that stuff does not excite me.
You don't have to do it, by the way. I have somebody who's going to do it for us.
But talking to Connie is what excites me, right? All the other stuff does not excite me at all. And so I'm trying to figure out how to make my life simpler, right? Like even changing where the file's stored at, to me, is a pain in the butt. And so I have somebody, I want somebody else to tell me where to put it so that I don't have to think about it. But what we do is we create your love to do list, your must do list, and your Connie hate to do list. And then there might be 2 tasks on the hate to do list that only Connie can do. So Connie has to own those, but everything else we can outsource to somebody else. right?
And
you
who
can
do you
get,
outsource it to? Like a virtual assistant?
yeah. I was actually thinking this morning, I'm like, I need to hire another one. Like I need to hire a virtual, not an assistant, but like a coordinator, like a CEO type of person, like a COO type of person. Somebody who can get a little bit more in depth with my business, somebody who understands a little bit more of the automations,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that way they're more of a manager level person. So virtual people are amazing. And you know what's crazy, Connie? They will work happily for $3 to $5. The company makes $3 to $5 an hour that manages them, and they will work happily for you. And they're trustworthy for the most part. They're honest, and they appreciate it because they can't make $3 to $4 a day in their countries while sitting at home tapping on a computer.
That's good. That's interesting to know. Uh-huh.
So
I hired one person. I have two people who are actually helping me now. One is for my website, a website audit, who's making it flow better, and another person who I hired for social media because I really didn't know how to do it.
that's amazing.
So she's from the Philippines, and I love her. She's not
Yeah.
$3 a day, but she's
Well,
good.
you pay the company like $8 an hour, and then
Mhm.
they get paid $3 an hour or $4
Mhm.
an hour, and then the company makes the spread, and then they have one or two people. Like the company I work with, I have my virtual coordinator. I don't like to call her an assistant. I just call her my coordinator. So I have my coordinator, and then she has a manager, and then he has a manager, and then it's the owner of the company. So there's three people being paid out of that $8 an hour, and then the owner keeps $1 or $2 an hour for himself for owning the company, and then he's paying everybody else down the line. And but she's making $3 to $4 an hour. She's probably not, she's not making $7 or $8. And you can't find somebody in the States that you're not going to be spending at a minimum of $20 for. And people in the States, I mean, don't get me wrong, they don't always work as hard. Like just because they're sitting next to you in your office and you can touch them and, they can smack you on the back of your head and say, hey, get to work. That doesn't necessarily mean they're working. So the work ethic of somebody overseas is totally different. So there's certain jobs that I would say you would want to have done overseas, and there's certain jobs that for me, I would want to have somebody here locally.
Now, let me ask you a question. Are you able to share with me and other people like where you find these virtual assistants?
Yeah. So my friend owns a company that I use. It's if you tell him that I sent you, he'll make sure that you get extra care. I mean, he'll take good care of you anyways, but it's called unleashyourteam.net.
Uh-huh. Because I'm going to share this with other people. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm an open book. There's plenty of resources out there. So unleashyourteam.net, and
Uh-huh.
just say that you heard about it from Vikram.
Okay.
Sometimes he has a special for the first month to let you try it out. Not always, but sometimes there's some things that he'll do for you. And then that's where I go. There's a lot of other companies out there. Just do before you hire, you got to have research done.
Exactly.
You got to have 3 or 4 people that you've talked to. Just because I use a company and I've had some success with it doesn't mean that you're going to have success with it. And then if you're going to bring in people, like if I showed you some of my systems that I use that I've created, they're not pretty, Connie. Like nothing I do is pretty outside of like talking to people and combing my hair. But I don't need my systems to be pretty, all bound up and colorful. I need them to be effective,
Mhm.
right? Checklists, processes, your communication channels, all of that stuff just has to be in a way that works for my team. It doesn't need to work for me because I'm not going to do the work. It's got to work for them, and the results have to be what I want them to be. And so there's a program called Slack, Slack.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just an intercommunication, and there's different channels you can use. And there's like, you can leave voice memos, you get it on your cell phone or your iPad. So all of your communication with your team is in one place. And even my outside vendor, so the guy that helps me with my webinars, right? He just helps me put my webinars together. He's helping me produce my courses, really professional. I gave him a channel within my Slack. So whenever we talk, he goes into there. And so the notification you heard like 3 minutes ago or like 10 minutes ago was him reaching out to me saying, "Hey, Vic, da 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 da." And I was like, wait, why is somebody notifying me? My assistant doesn't say good morning until 8:29. She gets in every morning at 8:29 and says good morning. And so I'm like, who's messaging me? And it's other people can join these channels. So all of your communication can be done with people that you talk to on a regular basis within one channel. So
well, that's a great idea.
Right?
That's
so instead of having like things on Instagram or things in email or things in like Facebook Messenger, you get people all into one area where you can communicate with them, right?
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful.
So when people hire a business coach, like one of my clients, he's super analytical. He's in the finance world. He goes, when I first started talking to you, I literally thought it was going to be a scam. And I go, why, man? He goes, because coaching to me just seems like this arbitrary thing, because there's not, you can't necessarily put an ROI on it, because it's not like a, hey, let's go create a sales funnel. Okay, the sales funnel brought in 50 leads. Your conversion was okay. From that 50 leads, you got 5 sales and you made $5,000, and it cost you $3,000 for the funnel. So you had a net profit of 2. Plus you have 45 people that you can follow up with. And over the course of the year, you can convert hopefully 5 to 7 more. It's a hard ROI. But if you look at the linear going up, people with coaches go higher than people that don't have coaches.
Well, that's true. That's true. And that's why I'm doing my research to find out what kind of business coach would help an entrepreneur like me. So this is very helpful to me and other people who are going to watch this interview. So thank you.
Yeah. To go back to your mindset question, because I think mindset's really important. A lot of coaches, you want to make sure that your coach doesn't just only talk about business. You want to make sure your coach has actually had some real personal experiences so that they can have empathy towards you. Plus they can relate to you and they can understand kind of where you're coming from, because a lot of things in coaching has to do with things getting stuck up here and not wanting to move from here out. And so when the brain is involved, when the head is stuck, you're not going to be able to produce better results. And so if your coach doesn't have the empathy, and if your coach doesn't have the ability to speak with you on a little bit of a heart level, they only talk about business, there's going to be a challenge. So coaching isn't just coaching, it's like real estate sales. If you're not a good therapist, you shouldn't be a realtor, because you have to talk to people, and people are emotional beings and they have problems that come up. And so make sure that when you hire somebody and you interview them, make sure it's not just about numbers and growth. Make sure that it's somebody that you can share. Oh my God, this happened to me today. And it's just, I can't even move right now, because a lot of people will talk to their business coach about business and they don't think they can talk to them about their personal stuff. And they won't move their business for 3 or 4 months because they're stuck in a personal issue. And they need to be able to share that with their coach.
That's great. That's great that you have that. So you think that a business coach should be a little bit therapist as well?
My current coach, I hired him not because he's an amazing business entrepreneur. I mean, he's done very well financially, but I hired him because I have a little bit of fear, but he's also a tough guy and he scares me. And so when I know that I have to get on a call with him, I make sure that I'm leveled up.
Well, I like the fact that you said that you actually had some fear of your coach,
Yeah.
because it makes you much more accountable when you have that fear. So I think that's a really good point.
You
So
should you should respect your, you know, if you're going to spend, like, my coach is a pretty chunk of of money, for what most people would consider. I think, you know, whatever you think's a lot of money is a lot of money to you, but my coach, a lot of people would say, is expensive. And in the coaching world, he probably is, you know, at the mid to top tier. But I've 10x my life because of him.
and
Right.
that's great. That's
And
great.
so if you don't have a little bit of fear or respect and admiration for the person you're working with, then you're not going to want to get on the calls. Like, we had a coach for my real estate business. I paid for coaches for my sales team. And we had this great coach, and then she quit and she went to something else. And we got stuck with this new coach, and my team didn't like him. And we were paying I was paying $1,000 a month for him to be a coach to my sales team, right? Just to have another layer of accountability. And finally, after 4 calls, he's like, "Hey, Vikram, your team's not getting on the calls." I was like, "Hey guys, what the hell? I'm paying money for you to get on the call, and you guys aren't getting on the call. And this person's going to help you make money and improve your skills. Why aren't you on the call?" They're like, "Vic, honestly," I'm like, "No, lie to me." They're like, "Okay, we get it. We get it." I was like, "What's the problem?" They're like, "We do what he does in our own office. And he's not even as good as our new people, because we had a lot of training." He's like, "So he's a brand new coach. He doesn't have a lot of experience. We're teaching him his job. So instead of getting on the call with him, we just do our own practicing in the office, and we do our own role playing, and we do our own scripting, and we do our own this and that." We had a big office and conference room. And I was like, "Why didn't you guys tell me?" They're like, "Well, we are still getting things done." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm wasting money then. Like, I don't mind investing. I don't want to waste." And so we had a lesson around that. And then I called the company. I'm like, "Hey, this coach sucks. I need a better person." They said, "What's going on?" I said, my team says that they got more skills. But when you invest into a coach that's good, they level you up. When you invest into anybody out there, and that's what's one of the challenges in this industry, is that there's no like standardization. So you can go out and become a life coach. You can go out and be a mindset coach. You can go out and become a relationship coach. You can go out and be a money coach. You can go out and be a business coach, and never have had any of those successfully. You could have never had a business that made $1 million, but you could teach people how to make $1 million. And when the economy is going up, everybody's winning. But when 2020 hit and the economy hits a flat line, now all of a sudden, that business coach that's never owned a business, that's never had to make payroll, that's never had to, not eat steak because he had to pay his business, his employees or his rent. Now that business coach isn't such a business coach because they don't know what's going on. And so make sure that you're researching and you're testing for ecology. Make sure you're testing that person is actually able to produce the results you want. And one of the things that I think I do for my clients is I typically don't give them contracts. Like, if it's a one-on-one, it's, "Hey, let's do a 3-month agreement. Let's do a 6-month agreement," and it's a handshake agreement, because it's going to take me time to get your foundation ready for you to start to build on. We got to excavate. We got to fill in. We got to backfill. We got to pour the concrete. We got to put the conduit in. We got to put the plumbing in. Got to get the city permits in. All these different layers have to go in before we can actually start to build your castle. And what most people say is, "Hey, let's go build the castle." Well, if you build a castle on no foundation, what happens to your castle in 6 months or a year?
Yeah, it'll sink.
And so most people, they always talk about, let's make more money, let's make more money, let's make more money, but they don't dig out all the old stuff. They don't dig out the old belief systems. They don't dig out the old systems. They don't create the foundation for success.
So, Vikram, we've been talking for a little over 20 minutes now, and I want to ask you, you know a little bit about me. What would you consider to be my challenges?
That's a very loaded question, Connie. You know, I would say the challenges that I see solopreneurs having is going from the mindset of a solopreneur to an entrepreneur. Right. So right now, if Connie doesn't work, Connie doesn't make money.
Right.
How do we build this business so that Connie can go hang out? I don't know if you have, I think you have some grandkids, correct?
6.
That's what sparked the business idea, is that you wanted to leave your pictures and your thoughts to your next generation.
Yes.
I actually want to connect you with my grandma. They came over to this country at 16 years old. And so that'd be awesome to get her stories in a book before she passes. But for you, and I would say for most solopreneurs, it's going from the mindset of being a solopreneur to an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Hiring the team. I don't like to call them assistants. You have to build the team. You have to build the system so that Connie can go take her kids on a Disney cruise, because she's making so much money that she says, hey, everybody, let's go on a Disney cruise and spend $50,000. And she comes home and she's made $50,000 in sales. Mm-hmm. And then she's got her team running her business so that she gets to go out and take a week or 2 off and not have to worry about it, not have to check her emails, not have to get back to the printer. So it's building the steps. It's building the organization so that it is an organization, right? That's why they call organizations, because it's organized.
Well, that's great. And, you know, I really appreciate your wisdom, Vikram, because I think that a lot of people are going to get value from this. And so I appreciate it. Are there any last tips that you would give to a solopreneur who wants to become an entrepreneur?
There's so many tips. You know, start to develop your systems now. Think about your organization as if it were as big as you want it to be. So don't think about your organization as a $10,000 sales company. Think about it if you were doing $500,000, or think about it if you're doing $1 million, right? So one of the things that I've always explained to my managers and my teams, where build the system not to where we're at, but to where we're going, right? Build the system to where we're going. Hire people before you need them, right? I always bring in assistance before I need assistance. And everybody says, Vic, you don't have the money to do it right now, or you don't have the business size to do it right now. I said, I know. I don't want to wait until I need it, because if you wait till you need it, you're going to hire the wrong person. You're not going to do the research.
Well, this is totally wonderful, and you are great. And I will provide your contact information on this interview so that people can contact you.
Appreciate it.
If they like what they've heard. And
Absolutely.
I sure have liked what I heard. So I thank you.